Hey guys, so before I jump into this video, do me a solid and like and subscribe to my channel so that way I can end up making something with YouTube eventually. So what we're doing today is we are replacing the valve cover gasket on the passenger side of my Nissan Xterra XE. It's a 2004 V6 engine, and so I'm just gonna flip this camera around and show you guys what I've done so far at the start of this, okay? Alright, so I'm no mechanic, but what I did first is I made sure to get all of the wires here unplugged from their different connections. As you can see, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4 that I needed to do. And then I got this hose back here off of this area back here. Alright, I don't know if you can see that, but right here is where that had to come off of. And then all the way at the front, I got this hose off of the front of this little section. Alright, if you aren't sure if you have the same engine as me, one of the first dead giveaways is your oil is going to be over here, whereas your air filter is going to be way over here on the driver's side. Some videos I was watching on how to do this, the air filter was over here too. There's all this other stuff you had to take off. No. If it's an 04 Nissan Xterra XE, it's going to be over here. Alright, so the only other thing I'm going to have to do is take off these guys, but I think I'm probably just going to do it over on this side because it's more raised up. So any fluid that's going to be in here, I'm going to make sure I keep this lifted enough to where I lose very minimal fluid as possible. Okay, once I get those two hoses off this top part here, I'm going to be able to go in and unscrew each of the screws that bolts this whole compartment in. As soon as I'm able to do that, this whole piece is going to come up, and I'll show you that in the next video. Alright you guys, so here she is, the valve cover gasket on the passenger side of my vehicle. And it looks like there was some cracking here in the gasket, which is where most of the leakage was coming from, a little bit here, but most of it, as you can see, is really wet in this area. So this is where the majority of the leaking was coming from. The gasket itself doesn't look too bad, just some minor fraying along the seams a little bit. Looks like it's been in here for quite some time. Don't be fooled, even if they're shiny, that they can give the allure that they're brand new, haven't been in there long, especially if you haven't owned the vehicle long. But the oil will keep it shiny, making it look new, but that's deceiving. This has probably been in here. I've owned this vehicle for more than 6 months, and by the looks of things, the previous owner didn't take good care of it. So, needless to say, glad that we're replacing this today. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys right over here exactly what I had to do. These back hoses that plug into the wall there, I had to remove those. Alright, and then there were these two top fuel line hoses. I left those in because as soon as I started trying to undo the screw on either end, it didn't matter. It didn't want to come out no matter how hard I tried, so I just left them in. There were quite a few screws around the perimeter of this thing, so I just made sure to unscrew each thing. And then the wires were zip tied to the gasket cover, so I just lopped those off with some sharp scissors, and I'm not even going to bother zip tying them down again. It's pointless, and zip ties are mechanics' worst friend. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask my wife to bring me a bowl of soapy water and an old toothbrush. I'm going to clean all this up on the perimeter, this silver, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing around the gasket. Once I remove the old gasket, make sure it's nice and clean, so when we put the new one on with some silicone, it's going to be nice and fresh and ready to go, okay? Alright guys, so I got the old valve cover gasket out of here. As you can see, the grooves are nice and clean now. cleaned it up with some hot soapy water. All right. Now, remember what I said about how looks can be deceiving? Well, here's the gasket. See how it's broken into a million little pieces? I want you guys to see something here. I'm going to put my foot on this half, and I'm just going to pull on this. That should not have snapped like a freaking potato chip. Okay? But it did. That's probably years and years and years old. It's disgusting. It was really hard to get out of there. I actually had to use a flathead to get up under it and chip away at it until it would come out without ruining the valve cover itself, okay? The interior makings of it. I didn't want to mess it up. So when you're doing this, be very, very careful, okay? Your valve cover, that little rubber thing, may be as hard as a rock now. So just be careful, all right? Now, the trick is going to be getting the new one in and getting everything put back together. So here we go. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to use some of this Mega Gray, and I'm going to put some around the little groove holes here for each screw that's going to hold everything together, okay? Now, if you're worried about this being corrosive and all of that, you don't have to, and it's oil resistant, water resistant, antifreeze fluid resistant, and then it can also go up to, I want to say, it can withstand temperatures of about 600 degrees. If you're not sure what the package looks like that it comes in, it's going to be this guy here, Mega Gray. All right, high temp, it was like 650 before I tore it off, and then I don't know why it shows 343 Fahrenheit there, but it goes up pretty doggone hot. It resists oil, water, antifreeze. It's non-corrosive. It is sensor safe, and it can be used on all engines. So you don't have to worry about anything like that. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get some of this on here. If it wants to come out. Alright, well, I'll show you guys a finished video once we get this all on. And that, my friends, is a fully functioning engine. And everything's put back together, everything's wired together, so we're good to go. Just in case you're scared that your vehicle might be overheating after doing something like this, always come back in here and check on your thermostat. It's good to go. I just started it up. No check engine light. Beautifully done.